right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Market Unlocked. The day is July 7th. I hope everyone had a good 4th of July weekend. Today's episode, we're joined by Ryan and Emily at Republic, guys. So, for anyone that doesn't know, Ryan and I met in 2022 at ETH Denver, and he's been a part of StockLock since and is a member of the Republic team. And they're doing some really crazy things that is very future driven and exactly the kind of stuff that we like to talk about here at Stock Unlocked. So Fodi is just going to drop a quick disclaimer and then we're going to get into it.
Yeah, guys, just real quick, we have to go over this disclaimer. Just real quick, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, so don't worry. But long story short, the views expressed are for educational purposes only and should not be considered as financial advice. Okay, guys, anything in this stream today is not financial advice. You know that, I know that, we all know that, and let's dive into it. All right, take it away.
Emily, Ryan, welcome.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Thank you guys for jumping on board. And I'm not sure who wants to answer the $1 million question, but what is Republic?
Yeah, I can take this. So Republic is, for those of you not familiar, we are a fintech that started about 9 years ago as a traditional crowdfunding platform. And today we're an on-chain global investment marketplace that seeks to provide private investment opportunities to your average retail investor. And, more recently in the last couple of years, we've leveraged blockchain to do so and have brought everything to market from a venture startup to sports clubs, film financing, music, more recently private equity, and then even more recently our Mirror tokens, which we'll get into later.
Cool. All right. So, Ryan, why don't you tell us kind of what you do at Republic?
Yeah, so Emily did a great job of explaining what Republic is, and I think there's two sides to it. We have the Republic, which you mentioned is more of the platform, and then inside of that is where I sit on the Republic crypto team. So that is our dedicated advisory and research arm focused on digital assets and tokenized infrastructure. We work with founders and protocols to design token economies, craft go-to-market strategies, build financial models, and help them launch assets on a public blockchain. But one of my biggest focus area right now is blockchain protocol integrations, which we call BPI. In plain English, right? That means that I help connect blockchains to Republic's regulated infrastructure, so protocols and foundations can offer tokenized, compliant, real-world assets to investors. So it's about bringing cutting-edge blockchain networks with real capital flows. But honestly, it's a big reason that I joined Republic in the first place. I care about democratizing finance and expanding opportunity, really just giving everyday people access to things that used to be locked behind closed doors. So span a lot of different things inside of Republic Crypto and lean on the Republic side as well.
Gotcha. Emily, is that New York in the background I see?
It is New York. Yes, it's West Chelsea.
the city of money.
Yeah.
So I see your title is investor relations. Can you kind of touch upon that and what you do?
Absolutely. So I've been at Republic for over 4 years. I was leading our .com retail business and recently stepped over to lead investor relations and distribution. So I was heavily involved in leading our Mirror token product launch more recently. And to Ryan's point, I guess Republic is really an ecosystem of private market functions. So in addition to what I mentioned with our global marketplace, we also have a Web3 hedge fund, a venture arm, and our Web3 advisory team. So quite a lot of things going on at Republic, and my focus is kind of across the board on investor relations and scaling our distribution.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let's get into why we're all here. Tokenization. I feel like that's a word we keep hearing, and that word tended to get a little bit more viral last week when Robinhood said we're going to start some tokenization. So I guess could you just tell us a little bit of what tokenization is, how you guys are involved in it, just for the people that are that are wondering.
Absolutely. And I think it's an interesting, people hear tokenization and everybody has, especially if you're not in the crypto space and not familiar, you have your own perception of what that means. And in its simplest form, it's a new way to track, store, and transfer value. One of the ways I love hearing it described is like when you look at the internet can transfer information. Tokenization and blockchain allows you to transfer value. And so the way Republic, has been, we've built our infrastructure and everything we've been doing in the last 9 years on very traditional finance mechanisms, regulations, rules, and all we're doing is applying tokenization, so technology to that to allow for more efficiency, more transparency, and more accessibility in the private markets.
Yeah, I like that word accessibility, because I think that's something that, you know, so someone that's been teaching, how to get involved into the markets, a very common question we get is, well, how do I invest in pre-IPO stuff? And the answer is, well, you basically can't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And if
You
you
have to be a part of the club.
exactly, or if you can, it's even difficult for institutions, your BlackRock, KKR, Blackstone, it's even difficult for them to get the allocation they want at the price they want. There's a lot of red tape. You have to be able to find the different sellers. There's hundreds of brokers across the US. It's definitely an interesting market, even if you have the money and the means to get into private markets.
Yeah. So you guys are introducing kind of what's the future is like the tokenization of people being able to invest in private companies, and with crypto now. I guess, could you kind of tell us about how it works? Because from my research, right, there's a few different like types of tokens, right? There are mirror tokens, there are synthetic tokens, and then I think the other one is kind of like a real token. Because from my understanding is that some of these companies that are doing this, there's a few different models where you actually purchase the token, but you don't actually own the quote unquote share. And then also that whoever you purchase that token from doesn't actually buy a share to back it up. And then there is the other model where it is backed up. I guess, could you just walk us just kind of through the different types of token, like what's a derivative token, what's a synthetic token, what's a swap?
Yeah, so at Republic, again, so everything we've been doing is using traditional means of fundraising, whether it be a private placement through a Reg D or S, or using regulation crowdfunding to fundraise for a company. We are now applying that same model to raising capital that allows anyone around the world to gain exposure to the performance of the world's largest companies. And so what that is at Republic is we have basically launched what we've called a mirror token, which is Republic's product that allows you to, again, gain exposure to the upside of these private companies. It's a debt obligation by Republic. So it's basically you're investing in a debt instrument that then at the time that you're investing, there's a established price that you see you're investing in. And if there is a liquidity event, so say an IPO, dividend payment, an acquisition, at that liquidity event, Republic then owes the people that bought into the debt instrument, or now token holders, that value that they're now entitled to. And so at Republic, it's, we're using tokens as a representation of what people are investing in, and people are investing in very traditional securities, a regulation, it might be a crowd safe, or again, a debt instrument. And some of these other opportunities, I think Robinhood used a different version. So, I guess it's important to note, this is not a swap. It's not a derivative. It's not a synthetic instrument. It is just an offering of corporate debt for Republic that is structured in a way to provide any of our investors or purchasers the simple economic exposure to a particular company. And so, for example, we launched SpaceX, then we launched Anthropic, and we had 2 others, a few more coming as well.
So
Amazing.
if I was to buy shares of a company that paid out a dividend, or if I bought the tokenized version of that asset, I would still be able to receive the dividend, correct?
So any liquidity event, Republic as the, yes, would need to pay out the holders that have invested, correct?
Gotcha. And then in terms of the risk and the downside, would it be the same as me buying the share or me buying the tokenized version of it?
Yeah. So like any investment, there are risks, and there's probably additional or different risks by investing in a mirror token because you're not holding the exact underlying shares, right? So you have that risk of investing with Republic. But generally speaking, private markets are very risky, and investors should never invest more than they are willing to lose. There's a chance SpaceX never goes public, or there's a chance some of these really large companies eventually maybe have a valuation that's too high. And so there's definitely education that's needed as people invest in private markets. But that being said, there's also, on our side, as we're using regulation crowdfunding right now, there are limitations that the SEC even puts on investors so that they can't invest above a certain amount depending on their income and net worth. And so while we're making all these opportunities accessible to even non-accredited investors, there are still limitations so that someone's not investing, their full life savings into one of these opportunities. And there is the liquidity aspect, which we can touch on in a bit as well. But that's a big risk as well, is it's not a stock on Robinhood that you might be able to trade out of today.
Right.
Cool. Awesome. So let's kind of like dive into the more, crypto side of everything. So how would trading work? Trading these, tokenized shares, so to speak.
Yeah.
And, and I'll let, either one of you answer that, but yeah, let's just go ahead and dive right into that.
Yeah, so Republic announced an acquisition a few weeks ago of INX Digital, which is a 24/7 regulated ATS. And so our plan right now is that we intend to list our private assets, tokenized private assets, whether it be the mirror tokens or tokenized ownership in a sports club, or, you're buying your favorite, revenue share agreement from your favorite film producer. All of that we plan to list on INX. And with that, allow for these tokens to have 24/7 trading, which means that as an investor, if you're a holder, depending on what you're investing in, there may be a lockup period. So for a lot of the mirror token opportunities right now, there's a 12-month lockup period before you can transfer your ownership or trade. And that's very common in most private market opportunities or private placements. And so depending on the exemptions we're using, the regulatory environment, there is a lockup, and then that asset is tradable and anyone can go on. But it does depend on liquidity. So it depends on who's in the market. If there's a lot of sellers and there's no buyers, you might not have liquidity in some of these assets, similar to what you see across other opportunities in crypto.
Okay, awesome. Before I continue to the next question, guys, if you have questions in the chat, we're going to answer them at the end. Just to give you a heads up. Also, one more thing. Nope, that's it actually. We are at.
I was wondering if I can add. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Justin.
No, I was just gonna say we're at 203 concurrent viewers right now. Awesome. So we got people tuning in. But yeah, Arthur, what were you gonna ask?
Just to add up on Justin's point about the trading. At the moment, are you guys only focusing on companies that are private, or are you guys also focusing on companies that are not private as well?
Yeah, interestingly enough, INX Digital does have public tokenized securities, and so that is very much a focus for us. But our bread and butter has always been providing access to private markets. That's where there's more of a need to bring tradability, but that absolutely is also very much top of mind.
And this is just kind of like a topic that with this space being so new, and something that I was discussing with traders too. And this is just like, I'm just curious your guys' thoughts, because the first thing that came to my mind is how can I take advantage of this as a trader? Like, where is the arbitrage? But I was curious how you guys think it's going to work with the stock market being open, Monday through Friday. And with the goal of these tokenized assets is basically to be able to be exposed to these assets, but with crypto. So let's say we're trading like the tokenized version of like Tesla on Saturday and Sunday, and then the tokenized version over the weekend ends up going up $5 or a drop in $5. Do you guys know how that's going to work with the stock market opening on Monday and then the stock price having to catch up with like the quote unquote tokenized price? And again, I know this is brand new and we're kind of just stepping into this world. I was just curious, what you guys think about that. Me as a trader, the first thing that comes to mind is where's the arbitrage that I could take advantage of?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely it even exists right now, right? There's these opportunities in the market where people can go out and find, some of these stocks trading and tokenized stocks trading on a Saturday or Sunday. I think, in addition to maybe seeing arbitrage, I think we're going to see that attracting new pools of capital, even giving access to more people that may not have had access to, again, accessibility to the private markets, but even accessibility on the public side of giving more people access. And then I think it's just going to be, I don't have a good answer to that. I think there's going to be an interesting market reception in general where I don't even know how a company is going to have to staff, right? Even if you're thinking like your investor relations team of a public company, being able to navigate and kind of having this world where there is no, there's no like 4 p.m. market closes.
Right.
We're definitely moving in that direction.
Yeah, Emily, go ahead, Arthur.
No, I was just saying, I know there was some rumors about the Nasdaq market being open 24/7, and when I heard that, I'm like, man, we are really not gonna get sleep because it's already bad enough we got stocks and crypto, but now if the stock market doesn't sleep either,
Yeah,
it's a lot of these.
Yeah.
Emily, let me ask a question because I've been a part of Stock Unlocked for a few years now, and everyone's spread out, right, all over the globe. Maybe one thing to talk about is like geographical restrictions with some of this stuff, or if there are any.
Yeah, I mean, for Republic, it's interesting. We have acquired licenses in the UK and Europe, and we have intention to expand globally. Right now, mirror tokens, for example, are open globally. So anyone around the world, as long as you're not on an OFAC list or, as long as you can pass our KYC and the proper checks, you can invest today on Republic. And so I think we're already kind of showing that we can tap different markets that don't have access to these opportunities. And we're seeing a lot of reception in areas like in India where there's just not that access to private markets, even for investors that have the means to write a much larger check. It's much more difficult to get that access. And so that's definitely been a focus of us and for us. And we've been working on, acquiring new licenses and the ability to actually go out and market in new regions across the globe.
So I had a question too. Kind of just for like the people that, aren't, people that are just new to this space in general. Is this like, Bitcoin or like altcoins or meme coins, or are they regulated the same, or how does that work? If you can explain that.
And it's an important distinction because what we're doing at Republic, I kind of mentioned, we're very regulated, right? Everything we're doing, we're working in the traditional finance side where we're bringing a traditional private placement, a traditional Reg D regulation crowdfunding opportunity for you to invest in equity or debt. And it's not a meme coin. It's not an NFT. And so when Republic, we keep, you'll hear a lot, real world assets. Everybody's talking about real world assets. What's interesting at Republic is we're actually bringing real world securities assets to market and tokenizing them. And we're following the same rules that we always have with, the SEC and FINRA and working in, it's just been interesting kind of looking at our space and people's reception, because when you market tokenization and crypto, sometimes that does leave a bad taste in investors' mouth, and they're kind of like, they look at us like, oh, you're offering NFTs or something that's not real, if you will, or doesn't have
big
value.
NFT guy.
They could have value.
This is why NFTs are out for the future roadmap, by the way.
Yeah.
That's not true. They're coming back. They're coming back.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so I think it's interesting though, like even the SEC chairman, Paul Atkins, commented on this on CNBC last week. So we were on the day before talking about our launch of the Mirror tokens. He came on and he was asked about Robinhood, what we were doing at Republic. And he did have a quote around like tokenization is the next step for financial markets generally. And so I think, again, we're looking at it as a tool and a technology and a way to, work in the same regulatory guidelines we always have, but applying that.
Awesome. Ryan, I have a question for you too. Just kind of like a more on the tokenization aspect, and kind of like, I know you can't say too much about it, but can you kind of explain to us on like how you go about, seeing like what's the proper network that fits, this exactly?
Yeah, 100%. So I work on two sides, right? There's the utility token side, your standard, trading token. There's security token side, but we approach every project the exact same way. At Republic, we are chain agnostic, meaning we are going to put you in the best position to win based off your business requirements, your roadmap, your needs, all of those things. So what we typically conduct is a protocol analysis where we look at, transaction throughput, settlement times, gas fees. We're all familiar with all of those things. And we really trim that list down to maybe the top 3 blockchains that we think fit the project and align with that project or that protocol or foundation's vision as well. And so what we'll do from there is we'll introduce them to those blockchains so that they can start having conversations, because a lot of these blockchains have grant programs or some sort of financial incentives to attract projects to come and build. And so at the end of the day, yeah, we're remaining chain agnostic, but we are going to do our thorough due diligence and research with the rest of our economics team and put them in the best positions to win in the long run.
Amazing. Perfect. All right. Now to the good stuff. What assets do you guys have available, and what's next?
So what do we have available? We have SpaceX, we have Anthropic, we have Epic Games.
Any Fortnite players in the chat?
Any?
Not very good.
And then
I know that's a no-brainer investment right there.
Yeah. We also launched OpenAI last week. And then we have quite a few. We have a long list coming. So stay tuned. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Can drop it here. We're going to launch Perplexity. And then I think we're going to have another one on Wednesday or Thursday this week as well. And that one's pretty exciting also. So we're going to keep going and bring a lot of these to market with the aim of launching these live in the coming weeks.
I'm excited. Perplexity. Did you hear that, Arthur? Perplexity.
I did. This kind of goes back to something that we touched up earlier, but it just kept like ringing in my head. So you were saying how this type of investing, being able to tokenize these assets kind of opens up the door to the broader market for people that maybe wouldn't have exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry if this is like going off topic, but does that mean that countries that are sanctioned and stuff like that could also get in on the game? Or is your guys' platform like KYC? Someone has to like pass a certain kind of background, or can anyone with crypto just start to invest?
So the cool thing is you can invest using crypto or your credit card or your bank account, like we accept USDC. You do have to go through KYC. So we are a US regulated financial platform. So similar to you log into your Coinbase account or your Robinhood, you have to upload an ID. But for the most part, there's a list of, areas that we cannot accept. But otherwise we are open globally. And if we're allowed to process your investment, we will.
Okay, cool.
What just a question. Obviously, Emily's on here, investor relations. There's a lot of things I can't talk about. She can talk about. So just to maybe give people an idea of like what kind of interest we're seeing. Are we able to give anything there?
Oh, that's a really good one. So I don't think we've announced this yet, but we have seen over 330 million of interest for our Mirror tokens on our wait list. So go to republic.com/mirror. And yeah, we've been collecting interest. We're really excited to see that we have that level of interest in this. I think that shows that people want access. And even though it's not the shares itself, the exposure to getting the upside in these companies is of great interest to people. And so 330 million in interest.
And how long has that been open? I know these days are blended together. I got a torn
I was gonna
Achilles
say,
laying up right now, but like,
2
is
weeks,
that a week?
not even
2
2
weeks?
weeks ago, a week and a half. Honestly, it is blending together. We launched this last 25th, 25th, I think. So yeah.
It was the 25th. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
surgery day.
So, well, Ryan, it looks like the Republic wants to see you hit an emote and
Uh-oh.
do some kind of dance.
I can't stand up.
Can't
But
stand
so,
that.
so how are we able to get on that list, or is anyone watching able to get on that wait list, or how's that work?
Yeah, so you'll see Republic just dropped it in the chat, but republic.com/mirror, there's a wait list there. You can drop your information. You'll be first to know as we launch the different assets and new opportunities. But yeah, anyone can sign up and then you'll be notified.
Awesome. I got one more last question, and then we'll go into the chat's questions. Guys, if you have a question, start typing it now in the chat, because we're going to start answering here in a little bit. But I know we touched on this a little bit with Robinhood. I know we know Robinhood launched something similar, but I do know that the Mirror token specifically is kind of your guys' creation in a sense. I believe it's trademarked, if I'm wrong, or
The Mirror token, yeah, it's trademarked.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How does that differ from what Robinhood's doing?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's exciting. What Robinhood was doing, we were cheering from the sidelines because I think it shows where the industry is moving and kind of validating, on what we're doing. We launched the Republic Mirror token in the U.S., so our decision was to focus on unaccredited investors in the U.S. to start, though the mechanism regulation CF allows for anyone around the world to participate. Robinhood, the difference is they had a little bit of a different structure. They launched and was restricted to the EU. So what they offered was in the EU, our products are in the US. And then, I'd also just note, Robinhood does a lot on their app with public, companies. Again, what we're launching is just privately held companies, similar to what Robinhood did in the EU with OpenAI and SpaceX.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So we'll get into some of the chat's questions. Jonathan Jesse says, since you're offering pre-IPO, how do you get away from the SEC with offering to non-accredited? Is there a risk education? And I believe you touched on this earlier.
Yes. So Jonathan, there is a lot of information on our site, especially as you look at these different opportunities. We do have quite a bit of information on the risks involved. Again, there's definitely a lot of risks investing in any private investment opportunity. The way that you say we get away from the SEC, so this is offered through regulation crowdfunding, something that we've been doing now for the last 9 years. And we've structured the opportunity as a debt obligation by Republic. And so you're not investing in the shares itself, but you're investing in an opportunity that gives you exposure to the upside of those shares. And so it's a little bit of a different structure. So again, you're not a shareholder of SpaceX if you invest in our SpaceX Mirror tokens, but you do have an opportunity to share in the upside of SpaceX IPOs or SpaceX has an opportunity. I'd also say that our plan is to launch these on INX. And so even if SpaceX doesn't IPO in say 15 years, our aim is that there's potential liquidity available as well for investors through secondary trading.
Okay, cool. I also have another question here from our Discord, but people want to know: is there a certain minimum when you're on the wait list or when you're joining, or like a certain minimum to purchase?
Yeah. Minimum $50. And right now you'll see a cap actually, says people can't invest more than 5,000. But there will be more opportunities in the future where that will change. But right now, minimum for the retail side, minimum 5,000, or sorry, minimum 50, maximum 5,000
Okay, awesome.
Is that 5,000 in total, or is that 5,000 per asset?
per asset. So you could invest 5,000 across different mirror tokens.
Okay, very cool. Well, that's questions I have. Arthur, do you have any more questions?
That's all the questions I got. Do we have any more questions in the chat?
What do people want to see?
Yeah. What do people want to see next?
Yeah, what companies do you guys want to see next? Put it in the Discord, put it in the YouTube, put it on X. Let us know. I personally want to see Anduril. I don't know if you guys know this, but I was obsessed with Palantir. Just right when they went public, and everyone thought I was crazy. People didn't know what it was, and look where we are right now. And I got that same burning feeling
About Anduril.
Noted.
That's how I feel about Republic.
I'm a Palmer lucky guy.
There we go.
I'm a Palmer lucky guy. I like the products that he puts out.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
Well, I definitely want to get signed up, and I need some exposure to SpaceX. Need some exposure to OpenAI. It just takes one unicorn to hit 1,000x. That's it.
Arthur, while we're on here, and we've talked about Republic, I mean, there's probably a lot of viewers that we brought in from Twitter or from the Republic socials. Why don't you plug Stock Unlocked and kind of what you've built? Because I've been a part of it for 3 years. I can vouch for it. I'm a big fan of the stuff that you guys do.
Well, I mean, we're here for you guys, but Stock Unlocked is we're basically the second best thing next to Republic. Like with those two, you basically can't be beat. No, but we're just a group. We've been around for 5 years now, and we just teach people really simple, profitable strategies and try to really hone in on the community side of trading, and we just show people that really anyone can do it. The strategies are simple, and really the hardest thing to kind of get through trading is your emotions and just managing your risk. And that's why we think doing it as a group is so impactful.
Yeah, and we like to really focus on the education aspect too. We took a lot of we take a lot of pride and joy in the material that we put out. It's well curated, it's very simple, and it flows incredibly well, and it's proven to work. We also have one more question in the chat before we let you guys go. Rocky Sanson says, is there potential for upside after the 12-month lockup, even if the company has not IPO'd?
Yeah, absolutely. There's potential upside and potential downside. The idea is that after the 12-month lockup, you can trade your mirror tokens, right? Or your whatever if you're purchasing something else that's tokenized in Republic. And there's potentially if there's a lot of buyers in the market that want to pay for a higher price, or the price of SpaceX goes up, it's possible that you see that upside and you sell that before. But if you're not going to sell before the IPO, then no, you would not see any upside.
Awesome. Thank you for clarifying that. But yeah, Ryan, I'm sorry. Did I cut you off on accident? Were you going to say something else?
No, I mean, really bringing these together. Yeah, we want to talk about Republic Mirror tokens, and I appreciate the opportunity to do that. But just as we care about democratizing finance, I really like what you all do and just really teaching the basics, financial literacy, how to manage your own money. And so those two things blend together. So I was just really happy to be able to bring together what I do in work and what I'm super passionate about to my outside world, which is Stock Unlocked. So yeah, really appreciate you guys having us. This was a lot of fun. I mean, this was a first one for at least us. So yeah, just wanted to say thank you again, not only for having us, but for teaching me along the way as well.
Dude, we couldn't be more thankful for you bringing Emily and yourself and Republic on board with us. I mean, that's honestly, that's really awesome. And I think people learned a lot today. Emily, thank you so much for answering all those questions. And but now I feel like I'm a mere token professional.
Yeah, it's cool to we're on the side of just trying to show people that, hey, you don't have to be on Wall Street to know how to trade. And you guys are literally on the side of, hey, you don't have to be on Wall Street to be able to invest in these companies that you see a future in. So, hats off to you guys. Truly.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This was fun.
Yeah,
Cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Wow, we're at
Thank you
300
guys so
viewers.
much. Let's go.
Doing good. We're doing good.
Make sure you guys follow Republic on Twitter and give them a shout. And for everyone that's following us on Stocklaunch, we'll see you guys in the Discord. Let's get to trading. Let's go TRX.
And remember, one more time, this is not financial advice. These are just our opinions expressed through our views. Did I say that right? But yeah, not financial advice, guys. All right.
Cool.
Everyone,
Thank you
take
guys
care.
so much.
Appreciate y'all.
Bye. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.